Imagine having a child that is 3, but clearly not your average 3-year-old. They cannot be in a typical 3-year-old preschool because of their need to always be on the go and having anger outbursts, like flipping over bookshelves that takes 2 adults to pick up. Imagine having to sit with your child every day in a 3-year-old preschool so that they can socialize and learn like other children do. That was my life when my son was 3. By the time he was 4, he was getting kicked out of preschool because I could not sit with him at the new school. He went through 4 daycares in 1 school year because of his need to be on the go and being unpredictable, yet his pediatrician would not give him any medication or send him to a specialist because there was nobody to help him until he turned 5. Did you know that according to an article on First Focus on Children's website titled Fact Sheet, Congress should prioritize development of the pediatric mental health workforce, typically 11 years pass between when symptoms first appear and when treatment begins? Also, according to the first5center.org, at least 8 to 10% of children under age 5 experience clinically significant and impairing mental health problems. That tells me that children need mental health and behavioral health care available to them at all ages instead of just when they are of a certain age. By providing grants to allow psychologists to study mental health care at a younger age and making services accessible to all income levels, we could make the future a little easier for several families. I know to some, it may sound like a simple fix, and to others, it may sound like a mountain they do not want to climb. But if you don't climb that mountain, who will? Children of all ages need appropriate mental health care, and it should be easily accessible to low-income households. Also, more grants need to be given for psychologists to study infants and toddler mental health to be able to address it before it reaches a point of no return. Although some may see a need for mental health care at such a young age, others feel it is better to wait until they are older. Some believe that waiting until a child is 5 allows one to see how a child is truly going to act instead of just going through the toddler phase. However, waiting until a child is 5 also sets the child on a negative path and does not attempt to help that child learn a better way of adapting or coping with the issues at hand. Many low-income households have Medicaid, if they have any insurance at all, due to the cost of insurance. That leaves them little to no resources when their child is having a mental health crisis due to a lot of physicians not wanting to accept Medicaid or the cost being so high they're not able to afford the fees. Very few psychologists study infants and toddler mental health because the high demand is for teens and adults. That's where the money is. If given grants to entice them to go into that field, more may be interested in studying it, allowing more research to be presented and more psychologists for families to access care. No matter what your side, you have no right to judge someone if you're unwilling to do anything about it. By petitioning the government to allow funds to our children's mental health, we are essentially ensuring our children's future. Without appropriate care early on, our children are set on a path to destruction from an early age that could have been prevented by a physician or psychologist seeing them and providing help earlier. I encourage you to speak out to anyone who will listen, to spread the word about the need for mental health services at a younger age. Who knows whose life you could be saving by just talking to someone. I hope you've been enlightened on the need for mental health care for young children. I hope it inspires you to look more into the need and speak out. By providing a few grants to help entice medical professionals to research the need for appropriate mental health care at a younger age, and by providing care to households of all income statuses, we could help children learn how to cope with what life has dealt them and possibly save several lives at the same time. I sincerely encourage you to speak to anyone, your pastor, your friend, or your physician, and talk to them about the need for mental health services at a younger age. You never know who may know the right person to get the process started and be able to help many children. Before I go, I want you to remember that 3-year-old who was tossing a bookshelf in a preschool classroom that took 2 adults to pick up. What if that was your child's classroom? What if that was your child on the other side of that bookshelf? What if another child would have been injured? Better yet, what if that entire situation could have been avoided by providing mental health care to the child when they needed it instead of waiting until that child reached a certain age.